Okay, here's what we're going to start out with. We've got my fish finder, and as far as how I'm going to install it and everything, that is an 8 AA battery holder for my rechargeable batteries to power it. The connections that I'm going to make with that to attach it to my fish finder, you will need these 9-volt snap connectors that connects to the top of your battery holder. To connect those wires easier, I'm going to be using these splicers. Normally they're used for connecting telephone lines, but they'll work for this. The nice things about these is they have a silicone on the inside of them, so you can just stick the wire in there, crimp them down if they're waterproof, and it makes your connection for you. The transducer, unlike some people, I am not using marine goop in the foam form. I'm using electric duct seal putty. It's really sticky, so it definitely will hold it down in place. The nice thing is, if I do decide to move my transducer, it won't be as much work to take it off the kayak, and it's also less likely to have air bubbles in it. Also, one of the things I'm doing is the mount. On the underside of the mount, I'm going to use these little loops that I'm going to attach to the underside of the nuts and bolts. That way I can use cable ties and hold the transducer cable up to the top side of the boat, keep them out of the way when I put rods and things like that in. So there's all my items, and we'll get going. Okay, we're back here with my kayak. Where I'm placing my transducer on here is, this is my center hatch, and where I'm going to be placing it is this flat area over there beside the foam block under the seat. That should work pretty well, keep it out of the way. When I put my rods in the kayak, normally they go up the other direction. The first thing that we'll need to do is just take some mild soap and water and wipe that down, make sure that there's no gunk there that will interfere with the duct putty. And then after that, we'll get the transducer installed. What I've done is I took quite a bit of the duct putty here, and I'm smashing it kind of flat. You'll notice I put some vinyl gloves on because this stuff is sticky. Like I said, this is not as likely to have air bubbles in it because of how dense it is. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice it's quite a bit bigger than my transducer. That's because when I put it on here and push it down into the inside of the kayak, I'll have leftovers that I can bring up around the sides to hold it in place after installation's done. Okay, I installed the transducer, and as you can see, here it is beside the foam block, and I've got it smushed down in the duct seal pretty efficiently, so it definitely should not be going anywhere. The next step is I'm going to work on adding the mount for the unit itself. Will go right here, and that's next. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is opened up the box, and here's the base to our mount. Now, I'm going to do the method where I bring the transducer and power cable up through the center of the mount from within the hull, which means I'll have to drill a pretty substantial hole here, probably about as big around as my thumb. So what I thought, what could I do to use kind of as a gasket, because I really couldn't find a grommet that I liked. So I went to a place called Five Below and picked up a mouse pad, a nice little kitty cat. Mouse pads are a rubber foam. So what I'm going to do is take my base, put it here, draw around it, cut a circle out the same size, and then when I go to make my installation, I'm going to line the bottom of it with Lexel. And I can also just put a small slit in here, since it's rubber, to bring the cables up through, which will be a lot less likelihood to get water into the hull of my boat. So I'm going to work on getting that cut out. Okay, apologize for, first off, for it being nighttime, but you work on stuff when you can. We've already went ahead and did quite a bit. As you can see, here is my piece of mouse pad that I've cut off. I've already drilled my holes, as you can see. Got the cable run up through there, and I do have a right sizable hole there. So what I did is I just put a little slit in this. You can see that greatly reduces the size of any kind of a hole there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Lexel on the underside of this and in the holes when I go to put the mount down. With the way that the mount is made, well, can't find the mount. Bear with me here. My daughter's trying to help me look for it.
Found it.
Okay. With the way the mount is made, you can see that there's a piece cut off on the back of it. So when this is done, basically this will be laid over like that. This will be installed, and you can see how the wires come up from underneath it, like that. I have also already ran, as you can see, both cables are here. One's the power cable. And here's what those little clasps are for. As you can see, for making your connection. You just stick them in there, you crimp it down, it's filled with silicone. That takes care of all your connections for your battery. They are waterproof. And you got your 9-volt connector here. So the next thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to finish putting the mount down with the screws. On the underside, where the nut and washer will be, I'll have the little nylon loops that I can use to wire tie my cable out of the way. More to come. Okay, here we are. We've got the fish finder installed. One thing I will show you that I wasn't thinking about earlier, when I went ahead and added my wiring, I didn't realize what I was going to do, or didn't think about it at the time. I plan on using my Hobie I don't know, what bowl, whatever you want to call it, that it comes with. That's what I'm keeping the power wire in. Well, when I added everything earlier, I didn't think I've got to drill a hole and run that through it, so I had to cut all the leads off. So I drilled a small hole, ran the leads back through, so now I have that in there, so that when I go to store it, I can just put the lid on it, set it down in here, and really it's waterproof in a couple different ways. One, it'll have the lid on it, and two, it has the gasket ring, you know, from the lid that goes on here. So that pretty much wraps up my installation. As you'll see, I'll put that, got my battery pack in the wrong place. So I'll put that on there. The lid will go on it. Well, my daughter's having a problem getting the lid on there. So basically the lid will go on. Put your hatch down and you're good to go. And as you can see, there she is a-working. So The one thing I didn't show you, like I said, when I installed the mount, I put those little clips on the underside so I can zip tie the wires up out of the way. And that pretty much takes care of installing a fish finder on a Hobie Quest 13. I hope to have it out on the water in a couple of days to see how it does. First time I go out, I'll put some comments up on this video to let you know how well it worked. So, that's it. By the way, that's my daughter. She gave me a lot of help this evening putting this together. So, stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for watching. Bye.